Hello, we are students from Prepatec Campus Cumbres in Santa Catarina, and today we'll show you information with facts, consequences, and impact about the Chernobyl disaster and the use of exponential functions with real-life examples. Our team members are Adriana Cuello Cancino, Amy Samantha Garcia Medellin, Gerardo Guzmán Villarreal, and Cesar Gerardo Mena Villarreal. First, we will start with exponential functions.
An exponential function is a function whose value is a constant. That means a fixed number raised to the power of the argument or variable, x. This means that the base equation for this type of functions is y equal b raised to x. B meaning any value greater than 0. The most important things to know for this kind of functions are the reference point, the domain, the range, and the horizontal asymptote. Here are some key points to note about exponential functions. First, an asymptote is a value in the function that will never be reached. In an exponential function, the domain will always be all real numbers. There will never be a negative base in an exponential function. The base graph for this type of function is f(x) equal 2 raised to x. Here you can see that the graph has a domain of all real numbers, an asymptote at y equals 0, a reference point in 0, 1, and a range of 0 to infinite.
The disaster that occurred at Chernobyl on April 26, 1986 happened because of a failed safety experiment. This was to see how long it would take safety equipment to function during shutdown of the fourth reactor unit at Ukraine's largest nuclear power station. The accident happened when operators dismantled the safety mechanisms, but the reactor became unstable and caused a power surge that blew off the roof of the reactor unit. This caused the release of reactor contents into the atmosphere for almost 2 weeks. 28 emergency workers and reactor staff died from radiation and thermal burns within 4 months of the incident.
The health consequences of the accident have been pretty major, causing rising mortality rate and decreasing life expectancy in the area surrounding the incident. Another major health consequence is that the rate of thyroid cancer raised exponentially. It also increased suicide rates and deaths due to violent causes. The disaster also caused environmental impacts to the area surrounding it. Such impacts include the killing of woodlands because of the high levels of radiation. This region came to being known as the Red Forest because of dead trees turning into bright ginger colors. Today, Chernobyl is widely known as one of the world's most unique wildlife sanctuaries. There have been reported thriving population of wolves, deer, beavers, eagles, and many other animals. That doesn't mean that the area has returned to normal. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant will not be safe for humans for at least another 20,000 years. This incident has helped raise awareness of environmental and the betterment of security in nuclear technology.
Here we can see how the Ebola cases raised exponentially and the rate at which they rose, doubling every 24.3 days, with y being the number of cases reported and x being the date. Here we can also see the exponential rise in this graph with the global fossil fuel CO2 emissions from 1751 to 2007, with y being the cumulative global fossil fuel CO2 emissions measured in billion tons of carbon and x being the years that passed by. Here we can see the exponential decay of sodium-24, or more specifically the radioactive decay. With the formula given you can get the graph, with y being the count rate and x being the hours that passed by. And finally, we can use drug withdrawal as a way to see exponential decay, because the amount of drugs left in the body decreases a lot, then goes smaller and smaller. Y would be the amount of drugs and x the time that passes by.
To conclude, an exponential growth is a growth whose rate becomes ever more rapid in proportion to the growing total number or size. This means that something that starts off very slowly in sales at first, like a business, then has a skyrocket increase of profit. Its function is y equals 2 to the x, and this is its graph. The main characteristics are domain, range, its asymptote, and a characteristic point. Vice versa, the exponential decay is a process of reducing an amount by a consistent percentage rate over a period of time. In exponential decay, the total value decreases, but the proportion at least remains constant over time. Now, what are some implications of using nuclear energy? There are some good and bad things about using this kind of energy, though unfortunately this time the bad things overshadow the good things. The first misconception that we have about nuclear energy is that it does not make carbon dioxide just like fossil fuels. This is false because nuclear reactors themselves are low carbon emitters. Also, the big amounts of radioactive material that goes into the environment can harm our health, and this makes this type of energy absolutely not clean. There is a nuclear energy plant here in Mexico, located in Veracruz called Laguna Verde, owned by the CFE. After researching, we've come to the conclusion that there are more risks of having a nuclear energy plant in our country than advantages, and we're not the only ones aware of this. Several directors of the UNAM have suggested the closure of Laguna Verde after a tragedy in Japan proved that even the most highly security can be broken. Laguna Verde only produces about 3% of Mexico's electricity, while CFE produces 40%, so the closure of Laguna Verde will not harm the country in any way. Jose Narro, UNAM's rector, concluded that if we want to make sustainable development in our country, it has to be based on renewable energy and not nuclear energy. The problem with the Chernobyl nuclear disaster was that when they were testing their cooling system, they removed almost all the control rods, causing them to lose control of the control of cooling. This could have been prevented by doing this action with a more structured procedure. Once the explosion happened, there was no way to stop the radiation and pollution from spreading. Even to this day, Chernobyl still reeks radiation. Though we do not think Chernobyl affected Mexico, since the picture shows the affected area and clearly could not pass the Atlantic Ocean and go to Mexico. Some environmental consequences in a global scale was the radiation affected soil and food, as well as soil contamination levels and farming methods. It went down as contaminating groundwater and downstream water ecosystems, and added to the existing problems due to industrial pollution. Using nuclear energy has to be one of the lower impacts on the environment because it does not emit air pollution, but the most dangerous effect of an atomic blast would be the radiation, as the heat would cause a third-degree burn in a 20 miles range. We feel that nuclear energy can have devastating consequences if not used properly, and we think its use should be limited. A proposal for this solution would be to stop using this kind of energy and replace it by using renewable energy like solar panels and windmills, and this is being more used and more in households just like ours. We thought this multicultural project was a good experience for real-life situations where we have to work with people we don't know. Certainly communication was a bit difficult, but after that we got a problem solved and we were all willing to cooperate and try our best to have an amazing project. Thanks for your attention.